I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kevin, you do roll call?
Commissioner Goodall,
Here.
Commissioner Corbin. Commissioner Corbin. Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
Here. So, do we show that he may be online?
It looks like.
He is there, yeah.
I'm here.
Jeremiah,
Yeah, I'm here now.
very good, sounds great. Okay, you have before you the agenda for this evening.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss on the consent calendar? And if not, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no unfinished business. Under new business, first reading of ordinance number 1665, permitting the sale of fireworks. And Jameson, would you like to start that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This ordinance comes in two pieces to permit the sale of fireworks in the city limits. The first piece changes our existing fireworks ordinance, which currently prohibits all aspects of fireworks. So that'd be the manufacture, the use, the discharge, as well as the possession, sale, and display. And so this ordinance changes that to permit and to allow the sale of fireworks within the city from the periods of June 27th to July 5th. And also the period from December 28th to January 1st, excuse me. So those would be the periods generally around 4th of July, Independence Day holiday, and then New Year's Day. Those dates line up with what is permitted in state statute. Nothing in this changes the use or discharge of fireworks, so discharge of fireworks is still strictly prohibited within city limits. And it also permits the use of public displays, perhaps at a football game or something similar like that. If there would ever be the request to do that, those groups or individuals interested could come to the city commission to request that. That's the first piece. The second piece adds within the zoning ordinance, the necessary language to put this in the highway business zone as a permitted use, which would be specifically the possession, sale, or display of fireworks. So that other zones in town would not allow this at all, but within the highway business zone, applicants could come to the city to get a permit and then be permitted within that zoning district. I'll note that the planning commission did consider this and they voted to not recommend approval of it on a 4-2. I believe that Jeremiah and the mayor were there as well, and then Ryan is here too, so those three could all speak to those, to the comments at that time. I wasn't there, so I can't speak towards what that was. I think I'll stop there and stand for any questions.
Yeah, Ryan, you were there and that, they really were mixed, not really certain, which direction that they wanted to go. But one of the things that Ryan brought up, and that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, that I thought was good was Ryan said, at least then we have some controls on what's done and where it's done. Where currently in that, someone can set up just across the street and they're in the county and we don't have those opportunities. So Ryan, do you have any more you'd like to add? Please do.
Maybe I'll just add that the planning commission was a little, I'd say the issues that they saw were a concern for someone building a building and that only being open during those timeframes, and then we have an empty building the rest of the year. They were also kind of concerned about the type of building that would go up, if that would be a tent or something like that, that could be, a problem with firefighting or something of that nature. And so our permitting process that we would go through would make sure that we're meeting all building codes. So that seemed to alleviate some of their concern, but again, they still voted to not recommend it.
Jeremiah, did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think Ryan did a good job, summarizing the concerns there, and I believe strongly that it'd be, if we did allow them in town, it'd give us a lot more control over those structures, and they'd have to coordinate with with Ryan's office, so I feel like that would be a good thing.
It's in a tent, they're gonna be fighting the fire. Several hundred yards, I edge it down in town, it's gonna be the same tent they're putting out. Just,
Yeah, that's true. And so our permit process would make sure that it has the, necessary components to, fire alarms and means of egress and ways to get out and make sure that that building is compliant, so.
Other questions?
Make some public comment.
Yes. Yeah, do you have any comment?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the people at home and that, Jordan, if you state who you are.
Yeah, Jordan Youngberg, I own Rusty's Fireworks. Had it for, this is going on 6 years now. Various locations across the state, wanting to get into Madison last year, we had one right outside the city line. Kind of got into it, didn't know, and I think I talked to a couple of the commissioners on it. I was gonna set it up and then found out that we can't, so. Set it out up on the other side of the county, or right outside the city line there, and for business reasons, there's places that I want it to have it, to be able to have it there, I haven't found a good reason not to, so that's why, I got worked with Mr. Barrett on, exactly my plan, and as far as, the tent stuff, I'm completely unopposed to not having tents. As far as my business will never have that, but that's outside my deal. But if some of the concerns on a building, the planning commission had, as far as putting up a building and having it there 2 months out of the 12, or using it for 2 weeks out of the thing, you're still gonna be paying taxes on the other 12 months. So, I understand, and for me, if I ever did decide to put up a building, I couldn't do it now, even if I wanted to, so to even try to get to that point would never happen, so. What I currently have right now is I use trailers, 5 years ago with the fire chief, Minard, I actually took him out to one of them, and I said, I'm not a professional firefighter or anything like that, I'm glad you guys do it, because you wouldn't catch me there, but I said, what are your concerns with something like this, as far as, worst case scenario, it goes up in flames, what are you at? And he goes, I use trailers is what I use. So at the end of the night, my trailers get shut, door gets locked, they're insulated trailers. And one of the things that the fire chief brought up was, he said, actually, this is kind of a containment unit for the fire, with it being insulated. So he said he didn't see a problem with it at that time, so. That's kind of the direction I decided to go, is I wanted to use these trailers and make it a good, it's a good experience for people to have. Anybody that wants to retail them out of a tent, my hat's off to you, but won't catch me doing it. So it's hot in July and I don't want to sit out in the tent, so. But that's kind of where this ordinance came from, and I leave it at that, and I'll be open to any questions anybody would have from the committee. So thank you guys for your time.
Very good. Anyone question? Okay, thank you. Hey. Discussion from the commission. Any questions or?
Yeah, I guess, I did speak to Chief Meyer, and he didn't have any reservations about it besides of what's there, that, the ignition of fireworks is still strictly prohibited in town. And didn't have any other issues. My thoughts are, I guess, they're pretty much selling fireworks in town at this time, the way it is, and I figured it'd just be a good way to, capture some of the sales tax, so. I agree.
Okay. If there are no other questions in that, do we have any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1665, permitting sale of fireworks.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same size. Motion carries. Number 13, approved resolution number 2024-03, authorizing application for community development block grant. And Jameson or Brooks?
Yeah, I'll get us started here. So the Lake Area Improvement Corporation would like to apply for a community development block grant. They are applying for up to $2 million, and this would go towards the Early Learning Center, which is proposed on Highland Avenue at the city's current site for a T-ball field. In order for them to do that, the city would have to be a co-applicant and then be involved with the disbursement and reimbursement of funds throughout the construction. This project would still be viewed as the LICs. They'd be the ones that would be fundraising for the facility and taking out the debts to build the building. And then I guess I'll invite Brooke up. She can speak more towards the process that they've had to undertake to get to the point they are now. The community development block grant isn't, at least for us, a simple thing as submitting an application.
Yeah, Jameson's correct. Brooke Roloff, Executive Director of the LAAC. To speak on the process, we learned about the opportunity of the CDBG grant for a child care facility about a year ago. And at that point in time, I gave it about a 5% chance of getting it to where we are today because of the income eligibility. So within the city limits, we are eligible, meaning we're below 80% low to moderate income. But we serve the county, not just our organization, but the early child care center would serve the entire county, right? Our school district serve the county. It'd be a wider span than just within city limits. So we were launched into, we're launched into what's called an income survey to determine eligibility, because the county is just too rich, right? So the county exceeds that 80% low to moderate income. So we exceed that dollar amount countywide, and so we have to go into a very rigorous income survey to determine eligibility, if we're even eligible to apply. So we started that process right away, worked through the governor's office of economic development through First District. So First District is truly our facilitator for the grant. So now we're to the point where we've completed this enormous income survey. We're eligible to apply. It's a really tight turnaround time, so we just learned we are indeed eligible to apply. Application is due, I believe, the 1st of April. These are pretty significant applications, so we hit the ground running, and then it'll be determined if we're awarded in June. So again, it's very competitive. Step one was, are we even eligible? But LAIC, we can't apply. We need to have a sponsor, like the city of Madison, to apply with us. So happy to do the legwork on it, happy to push the application to the finish line. But we can't be, if awarded, we can't be reimbursed the fund. We really need to partner with the city of Madison. So my ask today is if you'd help be a sponsor, and very, very comparable to the EDA grant that we received, right? We need the city to be the intermediate for all funding purposes and signatures at times, and we do our best to keep the paperwork minimal for the city, but take as much as we can. So that's the process. A little bit of history on that CDBG grant. So we would apply for up to $2 million. It's not guaranteed, but it makes significant difference in our project timeline specifically.
Very good. Questions or comments?
Is there any risk, I guess, maybe associated with this for the city?
No, I don't believe so. So they would be the ones that be taking on any debt associated with the project, so it wouldn't count against our debt limit. And ultimately, they're still the ones responsible for the facility. So we're just the pass.
We are the governmental agency to support it and be a pass through and not for it to happen.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is there's always gonna be some staff time as it comes to taking those finance requests, reimbursing and working where it needs to be. But beyond staff time, there's not anything major from the city that's needed.
We really do try to take on as much as possible, but Jameson's completely spot on. We get to a point where we can't do it any further. We need the assistance of staff, and we learned that through the EDA grant. There's times that we're needing more than what we initially thought. Just access to a portal or a program, reimbursement request. It does take time, so I don't want to short that whatsoever.
But overall, however it comes out, it's a definite benefit to the entire citizens of Madison and Lake County.
It meets a need we
It meets a need that we have and we're having a difficult time trying to fill, so.
And a little bit before that, even to be to the point of eligibility to apply, we've done so much work, meaning we've worked through the design build process. We've greatly appreciate the TIF that was awarded to the LAIC because we have seed dollars, which gives us confidence to move forward, that if we ever receive those $2 million, we truly can move forward with the build. Then you add our partnership with MB. That was a pivotal point. We wouldn't be at a point where we could confidently take out financing or apply for grants if we didn't have that premier operator that's been in business for 100 years. So there's a lot of pieces, you know, from the TIF to the point where we're at now, that really put this package together. So we're far from complete, but we're a lot further than we were a year ago. So this is just an opportunity. It might fall flat on my face and it might come up to be, it might be nothing, and that's okay. We're working diligently in the meantime, to continue to move forward towards that early learning center. It's approximately 14,000 square feet. We've honed in that it'll cost approximately $4 million. It'll accommodate approximately 140 kids. And working with MD and our team through the design process and the building process, which all are necessary to be eligible for any grant, right? They want to see where their money is going, and they want to determine those eligible costs.
And you don't get a grant until you ask. Any other questions? Comments?
I'll make a motion to approve our resolution number 2024-03, authorizing application for community development block grant.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
Number 14, approve agreement with Bros Engineering for the 2024 multi-community asphalt surface treatment project. And Jameson, you want to address it? And Gary is here if you have any other
I think
questions.
I'll have Brian tackle this. This is related to the engineering services for the fog seal or the chip seal.
Very good.
So this agreement would be for the same amount of services that Bros provided to us last year for the multi-community asphalt surface treatment. A lot of these costs are the same as they were last year. All of the lump sum costs that they have estimated are the same as they were in 2023. And the unit cost per square yard at $105 is the same amount as well. We are doing a little bit more chip seal this year, so the total amount goes up about $3,000, but all of these costs are in line with what we paid last year and recommend approval.
And they did a nice job and they were quick.
How many blocks?
I can't tell you the number of blocks. It's about 116,000 square yards.
Other questions?
It's approximately a seventh of it.
And that's the fog sealing. Yep. Application.
Well. Any other questions? Jameson, do you have anything you want to add?
Nope, Brian nailed it.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve agreement with Bros Engineering for 2024 multi-community asphalt surface treatment project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 15, award the 2024 electric conversion materials bid. Jameson or Nathan?
Yeah, I'll let Nate tackle this one. As he's coming up, this is for bidding materials that would be needed for this year's conversion project to move section of town from overhead transmission line to underground.
This total project cost is, the engineer estimates are just under 1.4 million. The recommendation from the engineers is to take, low bid except for the one exception of the padded switchgear. And, the reason for that is basically, time constraints. Even with the additional monies that taken a shorter lead time, the engineer estimates, we're still 135,000 over, what the material prices actually came in at under bid. So this time, it'd be my recommendation to take the engineer's recommendation and accept the low bids with the one exception.
And then that one exception on there was which,
Bid number one.
bid number one? Question? Comments?
That difference is what, Nate? On the bid number one?
About 35,000.
191 to 154.
Yeah, and I'll clarify that technically the low bid from give me a second, Irby Utilities of 154,000 didn't meet specifications because our specifications required them to be delivered within a certain time frame, and they don't meet that time frame. If we could wait that long, we'd love to get the low bid, but it would require us to postpone the project a year. And for 35,000 more on a $1.4 million project, we can get it this year on that.
We had that in our RFQ.
The timeline,
Yes.
yes, it'd be part of the specifications.
Are we able to go with the low bid?
Yeah, I consulted with our legal counsel and he supported the recommendation from DGR of technically second low bid, but lowest within
Should
specification.
we still go with the low bid?
That's a good question. So go with the lower bid that technically doesn't meet specifications based on the timeline. I'd have to have some time to think about that. Are you thinking you would like to defer the project for a year?
Just like to go with the low bid and see.
Okay.
How the timelines, if it comes together,
If we could get them on a quicker schedule or?
perhaps.
I guess that'd be a question for David. David, I'll repeat the question if you're with us. Can we go with the low bid, even though it doesn't meet specifications technically, if there was some avenue for helping them to get it done faster? Do you understand the question?
Well, we can't get into the extraneous details. You can, though, I can say you can accept the low bid. It might have a material impact on the project, but you can accept that low bid.
So the commission would have within their authority to go with the low bid. My recommendation would be to stay with DGR's recommendation because we know that for a small amount more, we can meet the timeline. I don't work enough in this industry to know what opportunity there would be for adjusting the timeline in the low bid. That's just my recommendation.
Nathan, any additional thoughts?
Nope.
Nathan, are we, for our switches now, do we use S&C or Federal Pacific or both?
Little
Or
both.
neither, or- Okay,
And there was little no preference from staff as far as what they prefer, so.
okay.
So now, if this were to put us off to next year, what do you see coming up next year that may not be compatible with?
Underground conversion 2025.
So basically, we just moved if it turned out that we couldn't do it this year, but we're doing it in 2025. Or 2020, yeah, if we couldn't do it in 2024 and do it in 2025, then you would envision that 2025 being moved to 2026.
That's your call as a commission.
No, but I mean, as a possibility, rather than trying to do,
Depending on workflow and what you can get done. I mean, that's a lot of calculation I don't want to make off the top of my head and make a guarantee to you, but.
Yeah, I don't know the full 10-year capital improvement plan off the top of my head, of course, but as you remember, it is an aggressive plan with a lot of work planned for the next several years. So I would say, I would again not recommend moving that route because you'd be adjusting your whole 10-year plan and it's an aggressive schedule that we probably need to stay on top of.
The only thing that I'm concerned with here too is, you know, even if we do accept this higher bid of 35K more, they could potentially be 42 weeks out too. So
Push it
now
out.
we're looking at the middle of winter again. You know,
The 40 weeks that they
42 weeks, right?
40 to 42 weeks that they bid would still put us in time for this year.
But they could push.
Oh, yeah, 40 to 42, okay, yeah.
Is this something we'd want to consider tabling and give that some thought?
is that,
I mean, I would say that it's your call. We can certainly research additional options if you'd like. If you do table it, that 40 to 42 weeks will become from today, 42 to 44 weeks.
Can we? Yeah, we can't put a contingency on it.
I would say if they don't meet the 40 to 42 weeks, then, you know, we would probably have some mechanism to adjust. I don't know, but they're not meeting their bid specifications. If they're not meeting the timeline that they agreed to, there might be other ramifications. But I don't know enough about this specific bid to say that, I guess, confidently.
There would be remedies, Jameson, if they didn't meet that.
Thank you, David.
And do we need them all at once? The switches?
Probably not. I mean, it depends on how tight you stack them. You know, because the line crew wants to be going right behind, terminating behind them drillers. So
Right.
that's where you're playing a dangerous game there too, if you don't have them all at once. I mean, you
Right.
could have a spread a week apart, depending on how fast they're drilling and whoever they contract for the drill work, what their plan of attack is, so.
I myself, I'm leaning towards the low bid and seeing if we can. What we can do, I mean, if there is any, time slot adjustments or anything we can do to get the switches to meet our schedule. That's why I asked if we put a date on our RFQ or how we had that verbiage set up.
Because they put a definitive 66 weeks, the rest of them gave, or no, 2 of them gave, you know, a 3-week time period.
Right.
We cannot negotiate or accept any new information with respect to the bids as is. We can't call a bidder in that bid tab and try to negotiate or change anything at this point. What's before you is what you can consider. I believe you could table the bids, may not be wise, but you can do it. I believe you could reject the bids, or I believe you can accept one of the bids. But we can't engage in post hoc negotiations with an open bid on the table.
Other questions? Any other questions? I was gonna see here, 35,000 divided by 1.
2.5%.
Yeah, we're looking at a change of 2.5, an increase of 2.5%.
And this would be just in the material.
That's the difference in cost from low bid to high bid. It's
Yeah.
2.5% on just the overall project
Okay.
cost. But you're still, bear in mind, you're still under engineer's estimate by 135,000 in material cost.
Under,
Correct.
thing. You know, for that small a difference and that huge time difference and that between 42 and 44 and what was the other one, 66? You know, that could throw us off a whole year just if that came to material, you know? And if we can't work on and saying, hey, can you get it here sooner? I guess I'm ready to support, you know, the recommendation here and stay in 2024. Other comments?
Yeah, I'm with you too there, Mayor. I think, with staff recommendation, and engineering recommendation, I'm in support of accepting the bid as the engineer's request. So, do you want a motion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated with 4 bids, so if you wanted to motion that, I would just say motion to accept the DGR recommendations on the award.
I'll make a motion to accept the DGR recommendations for the 2024 electric conversion materials bid.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Heather, would you do roll call bid on, or vote on this one, just to record it, please?
Commissioner Devon,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
aye.
Commissioner Fire,
No.
Commissioner Shaw,
No.
Mayor Lindsay.
Aye. Okay, with that, motion carries. Okay, number 16. authorize staff to advertise bid number 948, surveillance and security systems. Jameson, you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of the city administration building, there's a few components that were not bid out through the bid that was kept by Journey. More technical components of that nature. And in this case, we're looking at the surveillance and the security system. So this would be the security cameras in the building as well as the access controls to the doors. And so we, as staff, have looked at a few different vendors out there to see what it is that we're looking for and also what the price range was, and it is coming in above the bid limit. So we have put together this advertisement for bids and looking to advertise it with a bid opening of, oh, I lost it now. Well, right there, the 1st of March at 2 p.m. I'll stand by questions.
Any questions? Okay, if no questions, any comments?
Do we have any expectations of it's gonna cost?
We got a few different bids. I guess I won't share specifically since there's vendors out there that'll be bidding this and I don't know what the quotes were, but the bid limit is 50,000 and is for materials and equipment like this, and it was well over the 50,000. I'll give you between 50 and 120. We'll probably find ourselves at.
Other questions?
This is like inside, outside surveillance.
There's probably a couple exterior cameras, but mainly there's interior ones, and the door access controls take a lot as well.
I'll make a motion to authorize staff to advertise bid number 948, surveillance and security system.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The same sign. Motion carries. Number 17, appoint Amy Sad as finance officer. And Jameson, would you like to address this?
Yes, we are very excited to announce that Amy Sad has accepted an offer to work as the city's next finance officer. Amy comes to us with a lot of great background. She's very adept in the finances and accounting side of the world, and also in management of staff. As everybody here knows, she'd be coming to us as our community center director, where she has worked for the last year in that role. And so we are excited to announce at that point. I will note that, this will be a gradual transition. Since she just accepted it, we'll see her starting to get oriented into the finance department, but she'll still be continuing in her role of community center director for about a month. The notice that she put in for that entity over there. So it'll be gradual transition, but we've got staff here that are going to be supporting her on both of those.
And having worked with her on the community center board and that for the last year and that, I believe that she's ready to step up to the plate and do a great job for the city. I really do. So, any other questions, comments? No, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Amy Sad as finance officer.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 18, February finance updates. Jameson?
Yeah, I'll tackle this one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So last month we had an item on the agenda called project updates, and I stated at the time that the intent would be that'd be a monthly recurring item, the first meeting of each month. And this is the same thing for the finance side of our organization, where we would like to have an ongoing update, the second meeting of each month. So I am just getting these started, and I will note that they certainly could be expanded in the future based on what the commission would like to see and get up to date on. For this month, I'm going to be covering the revenues and expenses for the month of January, and then doing a little bit of a deeper dive onto our sales tax growth the last couple of years. Can you go to the second slide there? So the update here is covering our year-to-date through January. So we're 8% of the way through the year. So as you're looking at some of the percentages, keep that in mind. Of course, these numbers will be more interesting the further we go down to the year, because right now the January monthly numbers is the year-to-date numbers, and we'll be tracking both those, the most recent month as well as the year-to-date as we do these. And then for the revenue expenditure guidelines, we have a variety of funds that I didn't list here specifically because they're small and just generally haven't had activity for the month of January. So these are funds with activity in January. So for revenue guidelines, I've listed about 9 or so funds here that the city has, some of the larger ones in particular. So you can see them listed out there. I guess I won't go through them individually, but I'll call out a couple of them. So general fund, our budget for the year is just over $18 million for 2024. In January, we've received 275,000. So that's only 1.5% of the year budgeted, and that's because property tax is a substantial portion of our general fund, and we collect that about 2 times a year. So as we go throughout the year, you'll see that the number of percent budgeted will jump largely those 2 months when we collect the property tax. Otherwise, the sales tax is the biggest component of that fund. Well, yeah, it's still a big component of that fund. Second sales tax, that is separated out for the second penny that we get, but the first penny goes into the general fund. Otherwise, you see utility funds, the water, electric, sewer, solid waste, are all different utilities or enterprise funds. The community center has 2 funds, which would be their primary one, which is has collected 10.6% of revenue according to budget, which is definitely a great start to the year. And then the after school program is a separate fund, and that's at 8% as well. Any questions, revenue guidelines? Okay, we'll jump to expenditures. So now looking at how the city has been spending money for the month of January. General fund is at 3% of the year budgeted. And a lot of these are going to be well below the 8%, simply because a lot of our activities is going to be occurring within the summer months. Same funds that were listed in the first slide with the utility funds, and then a couple different community center funds. So yeah, that's the same number as far as what's budgeted, 18.17 million for general fund and all the other ones, because we proposed and look for a balanced budget each year. Questions on that? All right, we'll jump into sales tax. So for the month of January, the city collected, according to the Department of Revenue, $471,000 this year compared to the $432,000 from the previous year. That's a growth of about 39,000 or 9% growth. Good, healthy growth that we'd like to see in the sales tax. So of course, the year-to-date numbers match that. I'll note that in the budget for sales tax in 2024, we budgeted about $5.1 million in revenue sales tax. And then if we look at annual numbers, this shows our growth from the last couple of years. So at the year end in 2023, we had $4.75 million collected in sales tax, and that is an increase of 4.5% from the year before, which is really an impressive number because our year before had 14.6% increase from 2021. So 2022 was a very healthy and strong year of growth in the sales tax for our community, and to see us still having a strong growth of 4 to 5% is a great number to see starting off of the year. Of course, or at the end of the last year. So of course, 2024 has been started off to good step, but that's only 1 month in. And then the next slide simply shows a visual for the monthly sales tax collected this year and then the 3 years prior. The 2024 is just a small dot on the left side, but you can see that's a good jump from previous years. And in general, you can see that each year, month to month, has been increasing from 21 to 22 to 23. Summer months are good for us. We generally see more sales tax coming in there. And then also December, especially December in 2023, was a very strong year for sales tax. And that wraps up the updates for this month. Are there any questions?
No? Questions, comments?
Okay, if you have
No, very
anything else
good.
you'd like to see expanded on the future, I'd be happy to add that.
So we'll have the finance every meeting.
Second meeting of the month. Okay, yeah, and then the project updates first meeting of the month. Second meeting works well for finance because the Department of Revenue has their sales tax posted by the 15th of the month. So unless our meeting is on the 15th, you'll be able to have this information in your packet.
All right, very good. Do we have any public comment?
No.
No public comment? Okay, under announcements and that, I'll announce and that Friday is the last day to turn in petitions and that to run for commission seat for this year. So with that, do we have a motion?
I'll note another announcement.
Yes.
I forgot to put in the agenda, but we have our open house for our master plan on the recreation trail. And that is going to be in this room on Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll have some poster boards showing maps of the city, and it's going to be pretty simple. Ultimately, it's come and go. We're looking for feedback from our community in terms of what would they like their trails to look like and where would they like them to go.
Very good. Anyone else?
I did send that out today to our list.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn? I don't think we've got anything on the backside. Next regular meeting will be March 4th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.